So can we actually stop ChatGPT? Can that be something that on a larger scale that we as a society can actually stop? And I would say absolutely. We can stop anything, right? At the institution level, we can put guidelines in terms of what we actually want and where we want to go with artificial intelligence. And we could do that with any particular technology. We've seen this over and over and over again, putting guidelines on different kinds of technology, right? We put guidelines on regenerative medicine. We put guidelines on, not so much on social media, but some countries have. We put guidelines on the internet. Like all these kind of things actually do exist in terms of what we want to do. But here's the thing that is a little tricky with this is even though that there's those guidelines that exist, all of these things still exist in different forms. And so whether we put guidelines and checkers and all of these kind of things to prevent this from happening, there is going to be other people. There's going to be another system. There's going to be something else that's going to emerge that's going to take its part. And it's going to be another part of how we actually get things done. Now, for those of you that don't realize this, AI is very much already part of our lives. Many different systems, right? Whether it's from electrical fault detection, for example, whether it is thinking about, so across the system grid, whether it is all within the computer systems that we operate today. Many of them have AI systems that are built into it. Our cars have AI systems built into it. So we need to sort of think about, what is this? This is just another domain in terms of how we communicate, of how we interact with the world, right? And one thing that I think about is, the sort of why do we feel uncomfortable about this? It's because it's a moment where we as humans actually have to interact in a different way because of computers actually aiding what we're doing, right? And we've seen it in the background. This has been going on in the background for many years. It's another extension of technological progress. And for me, what's interesting is, the beliefs or feelings that we get of like, what is ethical? What is, was this a breaching the social norm? All these kind of things, because it's been so ingrained in us. We have sort of these standards that have been put into education, for example, that we think it shouldn't be touched in any sort of way with different technological progresses. But, the thing is, it's been like this for a long, long time in education. And, whether it is the introduction of the internet, for example, and search engines, whether it's the introduction of Wikipedia, whether it is the introduction of using social media, all these kind of things have been part of the educational journey in the last little bit. And this was going back, even further. You might think about the introduction of paper, introduction of pens. All of these kind of things have greatly aided what we actually do and how we do look at the world. And of course, there are drawbacks with it, right? If you think about the introduction of the pen or pencil compared to using a quill, where our writing was far better when we were using a quill, and our calligraphy was amazing using that, right? The quill and ink was just beautiful. But now we don't do that. And we have to sort of think about, okay, what does this mean going forward? Is this as challenging as we might think it might be? And the fact is that there is going to be challenges and it's going to be difficult. And we have to sort of think about, how are we going to use this in a very creative way? How can we leverage this? So one thing I think about, if you use it as an assistant, right? So you use ChatGPT as an assistant to help you out, or you have some thoughts and you interact with it, what does that mean? Is that actually something that is your own thoughts? And I think that's the way that it's actually going to be used, as being rolled out across many different things. It's going to be used as more of a, having some additional help, just the way that everything else is. and you can guide it and steer it in different ways. And now, does that mean AI is going to replace a lot of the ideas that we have? Possibly in 30, 40 years, maybe even sooner, right? Like in a certain amount of time. But at this moment, we use it as an assistant, interact with it in various different ways, as if you are using the internet or using your phone as an assistant. We use those as an assistant, and we don't really think about it in any sort of broad way at this moment. Or, we think about automobiles. It gets us from one place to the next a lot more quicker than walking. And so I think we need to really take a step back and feel those social norms, because you feel it. It's anxiety inducing. But at the same time, we have to sort of embrace it and think about how are we going to set up various different institutions to allow things to flourish, but at the same time reflect the changing world that we actually are in. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.